What if I told you you're not getting the most out of your credit card? That there are loads of hidden benefits you may have never even heard of. Here's a quick rundown of all the credit card perks that nobody told you about. And stick around until the end to learn how you could be saving hundreds of dollars on travel, insurance, and everything in between. Let's start with something simple. We've all been there. You buy something at the store, and a few days later, you find out it either isn't what you expected or it doesn't do what you thought it would do. So you go back to the store, ask for a refund, but the guy at the counter points to that sign saying, "No refunds after 30 days. You're stuck. That is, unless you used the right credit card. One of the best benefits of a credit card is this very helpful extended return protection. Basically, if you can provide proof of purchase on the credit card you bought the item with within as many as 90 days and sometimes as much as 120 days, your card issuer can give you a full refund that you wouldn't normally be entitled to had you used cash or a debit card. There are exceptions to this rule though. You can't return anything with an upcoming expiration date like fruits or vegetables and things like houseplants. You also can't buy expensive jewelry or a fancy watch to show it off and then return it a few days later. Credit card providers' return protection policies don't typically cover vanity buys that can be worn a few times and then refunded. Think suits and watches rather than computers or phones. And there's quite a few other things listed, so be sure to check that issuer's list of excluded items. This is one of the easiest, pain-free benefits to take advantage of, and there's pretty much no drawbacks involved. It might be a little bit of a hassle to contact your provider with all the required documents, but that's really the only hurdle. But credit cards offer protection that extends beyond just a more extensive return protection. This next benefit can save you hundreds of dollars in repair bills. We all have phones, right? If you're anything like my friends, you're always dropping it or tossing it into the table without a care in the world, as if it didn't cost hundreds or even well over $1,000. I try to be a little more careful with my phones, but every now and then you may run into some trouble and you might need to get it fixed. It happens. Well, rather than having to pay those expensive repair costs up front, a few credit card companies offer cell phone protection to their cardholders. You can get covered from a few $100s to as high as $1,000 for theft or damages to your phone, usually with around a $50 to $100 deductible, depending on the terms of that specific card. Let's say you take your phone to the repair shop and the person behind the desk charges you $400. Under this protection coverage, you could be saving up to $350. But there are a few catches. First, you can't claim every little piece of phone damage on insurance. Superficial damage like small scratches and chips won't cut it, so don't try to be clever. Second, not every credit card provider offers this protection, so double check the benefit terms of your specific card just to make sure you qualify. American Express, Chase, Wells Fargo, Capital One, and a handful of other banks offer cell phone insurance on some of their cards, but not all of them, so be sure to do your research. Third is, you can only benefit from this protection if you use that same credit card to pay your phone bill. If you have an automatic payment set up with, say, a debit card, your credit card provider will not cover your cell phone. So make sure to have your card linked up to your monthly phone bill. Phone protection is great, but this next benefit is a big plus for those who love travel. I think we can all agree nobody really likes airports. They're loud, crowded, and everybody's always in a rush. Waiting for the flight is probably the worst part of a trip. Have you ever taken a look at those nice airport lounges with free Wi-Fi, food, drinks, and comfy seats and thought to yourself, yeah, I wish I was there right now, instead of sitting next to this guy chugging a beer at 9 a.m. Well, you're in luck. Some credit card providers have travel-focused credit cards that give you free access to certain lounges, which gives you the opportunity to rest in a lounge rather than those cramped seating areas, as well as having access to food and drinks that, depending on the specific lounge, can also be free. It's a huge advantage. Sadly, not every credit card offers lounge benefits, and it's usually only included on the higher end travel-focused cards that require an annual fee. In the long run, it's well worth the money if you're a pretty frequent traveler, but you definitely want to think twice about it if you're not someone who hops on many flights. For example, you have quite a few different options, but just to give you a better idea, here are two different cards. First is the famous Amex Platinum card, which is one I use a lot myself. This is the go-to card for arguably the best airport lounge access. The $695 annual fee is no joke, but the rewards and benefits are worth it to me personally. Cardholders get free access to a variety of different lounges across the world. It's a personal favorite of mine. Second is the Capital One Venture X card, which includes complimentary access to Capital One lounges and priority pass lounges when you sign up. What's great is that you can also bring up to 2 guests along with yourself, all free of charge. Again, with the $395 annual fee, it is a little pricey, but if you travel a lot, the card and its perks can be a massive benefit. Now, depending on where it is that you typically like to fly to, this next benefit might be even more appealing to you. Have you ever used Ticketmaster? It feels like to get tickets to anything these days, you have to be ready on the site just as the sale goes live. Otherwise, you'll miss out. If you're not quick enough to snatch up your tickets in time, you're either left missing out or you have to pay crazy prices from a reseller. Concert goers will be pleased to know that they don't have to go through all that stress. With the right credit card, you can get first dibs on what are called pre-sale tickets, which are tickets that are available before the sale to the general public. In some cases, depending on the show or concert, there could be so much demand that the tickets are just about sold out by the time it gets to general release. So if you can get your hands on a credit card that offers this perk, it can be well worth it. American Express is well known when it comes to offers for access to pre-sale tickets. As long as you use the credit card to buy the tickets, you can get access to some of the most sought after gigs in the country. Capital One cards are another option. Similar to Amex, Capital One has a whole host of events they offer to their platform. Best of all, you can go through third-party apps like Ticketmaster and do the same thing, as well as get access to VIP packages or meet and greets. Airport lounges and VIP tickets are all well and good, but sometimes the best benefits aren't the flashiest. This next one will be of interest to all of you watching. When people talk about credit cards, all I ever hear is points, points, points. Sure, points and rewards are great, but there's a much more important reason that you should be using your credit card that not many people like to touch on, because these things can get messy if they do go wrong. Probably the best reason to use a credit card rather than cash or debit is the fact that it's one of the best ways of building your credit score. For those that don't know, your credit score is essentially a rating of your credit worthiness, so how likely you are to pay back loans or any debt. Making payments on time will help set you on the path to building a high credit score, whereas if you're constantly late on paying back on what you owe, your score will plummet. So why is this important? Well, when the time comes for you to make a big purchase, which might be for your first house or car, or a bit of money to start up your business, you'll likely be looking to take out a loan or get an additional line of credit. The lender will take a look at your credit score, and if they see that you haven't been meeting your deadlines for your payments, then they'll likely view you as a risky borrower and they won't approve you for the loan or line of credit. Not only that, but having a low score can cause you to miss out on securing lower interest rates, as the bank won't want to take much of a risk on you potentially defaulting. Basically, you need to start building up your credit score as soon as possible. One of the best ways of doing this is with a credit card. If the end of the month comes and you haven't paid your credit card bill, you'll get hit with the late fees. And if you're late by at least 30 days, the issuer may raise your interest rates with an even higher penalty rate, as well as getting a missed payment posted to your credit report, which will hurt your credit score. This is one example of how people can wind up with thousands of dollars of debt from something that started smaller. Be careful though, lenders will look at more than just your payment history to determine if you're qualified. Applying for a bunch of credit cards at once can bring your score down, since it makes you seem desperate for credit. The age of your accounts also plays a role. The longer you've had a credit history, so the amount of time that your credit accounts have been open, the better. I believe a good approach is to treat your credit card like a debit card. If you don't have the money, then don't buy it. Use it to buy your usual stuff like groceries and other things to build up your score over time. And take advantage of those card benefits like protections, rewards, and other perks that you don't get from having a debit card. Now, let's end off things with something lighthearted, a real hidden gem that's pretty nice, but very few people talk about. Pre-sale tickets to superstar gigs and airport lounges might snatch all the headlines, but there's another place that many credit card providers offer access to that isn't brought up, and that's museums. That's right, just by being a cardholder for some of these issuers, you can get free access to a lot of really interesting museums all across the world. Best of all, you don't need to do anything special to unlock it. Just showing up at the doors at the right time is often enough to get you entry. There's no doubt a few different offerings that are out there, but these are the ones that I know of. If you have a card with Bank of America, debit or credit, you're part of the Museums on Us program, which grants free access to over 200 museums across the states. These range from art galleries to historical museums, science expositions, and art museums like the Metropolitan Art Museum in New York City. The only catch is that you'll have to go on the first weekend of the month, otherwise you'll have to pay. So be sure to plan around that. Just a couple of years ago, Capital One started a partnership with the Cultivist Art Club that gives you and one guest free access to over 100 museums across the world for 6 months. All you need to do is sign up on the Cultivist Capital One page and put your eligible Capital One card in during checkout. Then you're good to go whenever you want in that time period for no extra charge. Issuers sometimes have these type of partnerships which may come and go, so keep your eyes peeled for changes or anything new to come in the future. Which of these hidden credit card benefits do you think is the most enticing? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.